You know, every now and then, a court case comes along that sounds more like a movie plot than a legal proceeding. Today, we're diving into one of those cases from India's Supreme Court. It's got everything. A top cop accused of massive corruption, a shocking forgery, a rival plotting in the shadows, and a legal puzzle that forced the court to answer a really profound question about justice itself. So let's get right into it.
At the very heart of this entire story is one single fascinating question. What happens when the truth gets revealed through illegal means? Can a crime actually be used to solve another crime? Keep that question in your mind as we unpack this incredible case.
All right, so let's set the stage. The story kicks off with this just bombshell accusation aimed right at the highest levels of law enforcement.
So picture this. It's May 2011, and a complaint lands on the desks of India's central government. It's supposedly from a member of parliament, M.A. Khan, and it makes a pretty staggering claim that T. Sunil Reddy, who was the Director General of Police, we're talking the top cop in his state, had secretly acquired a colossal fortune, way beyond his known income.
And look, this wasn't just some vague accusation. No. The complaint came with a massive dossier. We're talking 542 pages of official sale deeds for about 1,500 acres of land. The evidence looked absolutely overwhelming, pointing to a huge corruption scandal. But then, the story took a wild turn.
Right, so just when you think this is an open and shut corruption case, the whole thing gets flipped completely on its head.
It turns out the member of parliament, M.A. Khan, you know, the guy who supposedly wrote the complaint? He comes forward and says, wait a minute, I never wrote that letter. I never signed it. The entire complaint, the very document that started this whole thing, was a forgery.
And you have to appreciate just how fast this all happened. I mean, look at the timeline. On May 5th, the big story is a corrupt police chief. Just a couple of weeks later, by May 23rd, the investigation isn't about the corruption anymore, it's about the forgery itself. The focus of the case completely changed.
So the CID, that's the Criminal Investigation Department, they start digging, and they uncover what they say is a full-blown conspiracy. They point the finger at a rival police officer, Umesh Kumar, and say he orchestrated the whole thing. And the motive? Well, they alleged it was to wreck T. Sunil Reddy's reputation, maybe to snag a promotion for himself. They even figured out how the documents were gathered, through a document writer who allegedly faked signatures to get those certified copies. So now you've got this incredible situation, a crime seemingly committed to expose another crime.
And as you can imagine, this mess, this tangled web of accusations, creates a huge legal problem. A problem so tricky it ends up going all the way to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court of India.
Which brings us right back to that question we started with. The letter was a fake. The documents were obtained illegally. But, and this is the key part, the documents themselves were real. They were genuine certified sale deeds. So what's a court supposed to do? Do you punish the forger and just throw away the evidence of potential corruption? Or do you use that evidence, even though it came from a criminal act?
This really lays out the court dilemma perfectly. On one hand, you've got the method, a criminal conspiracy, forgery, fraud, totally illegal. But on the other hand, you've got the evidence it produced, real, genuine documents that are super relevant to a very serious allegation. The two are completely tangled up together.
You know, in a lot of places, especially in the US, there's a legal idea for exactly this situation. It's called the fruits of the poisonous tree doctrine. And it's pretty simple. If the source of your evidence, the tree, is illegal, then any evidence you get from it, the fruit, is also tainted. You can't use it in court. But as we're about to see, the Indian Supreme Court decided to go down a very different road.
So what did the court do? Well, their ruling was incredibly clear, super direct, and it ended up setting a huge precedent in Indian law. Basically, in this major decision, the Supreme Court said, nope. They flat out rejected the whole fruits of the poisonous tree idea. They made it clear that the American way was not going to be the law in India. Their focus was on something else entirely.
And this quote from the actual judgment just sums up their thinking perfectly. They said, and I quote, "If the evidence is admissible, it does not matter how it has been obtained." Wow, I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that, right? How you got it is less important than what it is.
So instead of getting bogged down in how the evidence showed up, the court created this really simple, three-part test for admissibility. First, is it relevant? Well, yeah, these were sale deeds directly tied to the corruption claims. Check. Second, is it genuine? Yep, nobody was arguing that the certified copies were fakes.
Check. And third, did getting the evidence violate the accused's constitutional rights, like forcing him to incriminate himself? Nope, it didn't. So the evidence passed the test with flying colors.
Okay, so with that big principle laid down, the court came up with this really elegant and frankly practical way to handle both of the alleged crimes. I love this analogy they used. They said you have to separate the vehicle from the cargo. Think of the vehicle as the forged letter and all the illegal stuff used to deliver the evidence. The cargo, though, was the evidence itself, those genuine sale deeds. The court decided to treat them as two separate issues. The crime of the delivery was one thing. The potential crime revealed by the delivery was something else entirely.
And here's exactly how that played out. The court gave two clear orders. For Umesh Kumar, the officer accused of the forgery, they said, the case for forgery and criminal conspiracy goes to trial. But at the very same time, for T. Sunil Reddy, the top cop accused of corruption, they ordered a brand new investigation by the Central Bureau of Investigation. That's kind of like India's FBI. And guess what evidence they were told to use? Those exact same sale deeds.
And the court wasn't finished. They actually took a moment to sharply criticize the state government for what they called discriminatory inaction. The judges basically called them out, saying, hey, you guys went after the forger with everything you had, but you completely ignored the very serious evidence of corruption that the forgery uncovered. So the Supreme Court had to step in and make sure both sides of the story got a proper investigation.
And all of this leaves us with a really big, thought-provoking question, doesn't it? Should the law really care how the truth is found? Is the most important thing just getting to the facts, no matter how you get there? Or should the process of justice itself be clean, even if it means some truths stay hidden? It's a tough one, and there's really no easy answer.